All right. Well, I don't know what's going on, but it does seem like the internet's acting a little foolish here in the last couple of days. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Growing Up. No. Oh, wow. Joshua, holy crap. This is Waking the People with your hosts, Sir Chatterer Bruce Shears and Joshua the Kraken, your patriot, the man that even Prince would sing about McClendon.
Oh, yeah. You had a little bit of a little mind collapse there. How long has it been since you've done a video of?
Actually, I recorded yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's still fresh in your brain. Okay.
And
fair enough. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, I had some issues with it yesterday, and it did what happened about, I don't know, 17 or 18 episodes ago, maybe less, on this show, where after we did the recording, it disappeared. So we'll see if I can find it. Hopefully it'll just get pushed through after this one. I don't know. But anyway, yep, we don't have a whole lot of time, everybody. So we're going to get into a couple of things. We'll do some surface level. I've got a huge gripe to get into about Pennsylvania's healthcare and overall healthcare in the country. But likely all of this is just going to be a quick touch base. And then, because our Sundays are a bit busy right now, or at least today anyway. So, all right, Joshua, throw it in, baby.
Yep. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Waking the People. Going to be a short episode today, like Chad said. A little bit of a precursor episode, I guess you could say. So the topics we're going to talk about today, we're probably going to expand on a little bit more here going forward. But we wanted to get you guys at least some kind of video to touch on this, because it is such a hot topic and it is a current topic that everyone seems to be interested in, and also it can have major ramifications as far as maybe some civil unrest and things of that nature. So that's the Kyle Rittenhouse case, right? That is going on right now. I normally don't dive into cases. I have weird views. I don't even think the public should be aware of some cases, just because of the ramifications it can have to the individuals if they are actually found not guilty, or if they are found, that whatever happens in the case, the public would have access to that information, and then it could be, not really good for that person later on in life. But this case has been very interesting. I have watched some of the testimonies. I've watched quite a bit of the court, the hearing, the trial itself. I've taken in kind of my own, viewpoint on it. Not really a lawyer, not a lawyer at all. Don't really have any legal experience whatsoever. So it's very much just an opinionated view, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's interesting. So maybe we should just go from the beginning, Chad. I'm not sure. I would assume most people are somewhat aware, at least of the incident itself, but maybe not necessarily the case and how those actions came about. And that night, I think it was August 25th, 2020, or August 24th, kind of in that one of those 2-day ranges. But yeah, let's jump into a little bit.
Yeah, I know that the majority of people are educated by the media, and what they believe in the media is they're just flat out lying like crazy about this case. Very few of them are actually giving unbiased coverage, from snipping certain parts and trying to make people believe certain things by, obviously editing out. It's disgusting what the media is doing, and I absolutely hate mainstream media, all of it. So because of this kind of shit. And what are they doing? They're going to end up getting people to want to riot. We can get people like Maxine Waters to get away with it during the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin murder case. We can get Maxine Waters telling people she needs to get out. People need to get in the street. And basically she's inciting violence with her language, but she can get away with it. But other people can't even say, you know what, let's just go peacefully and, show that we do have a show force, that there are a lot of Americans that don't agree with what's happening, but those people are insurrectionists and horrible people. So anyway, digressing, but point of the story is that the media is really misinforming people. Like, they're actually telling people that Kyle Rittenhouse was chasing people with his rifle, the AR-15, which is absolutely not true. So
no, not at all. I mean, let's start off. So it was in Kenosha, right? Kenosha, Wisconsin. There was another individual or an incident that happened around that time, but a gentleman by the last name of Blake. I do not remember his first name, but he was, he was shot by police during a investigation, whatever you want to call it, and that kind of sparked some civil unrest. There was some demonstrating going on in Kenosha, some property damage that was going on. And Kyle, his dad lived in Kenosha, so he was very familiar with the area. He didn't live there, which is something that the media likes to use a lot. But his father was there. As someone who, my parents are split, I have had to call several different places home, even though I may not be an actual resident of that area. So he frequented Kenosha a lot. He responded to, a Facebook post that went out. That was a gentleman, don't remember the name, that was calling for people to come and help protect businesses in the area that were being attacked by, rioters. There's a big difference between rioters and peaceful protesters. So I'm not going to lump those two together. Property damage is done by rioters. I don't think it's done by protesters. So Kyle was then asked by a friend of his who lived in the area if he would like to come and join along and help protect some of the businesses. So he did. He did bring a weapon with him, which I'm not a legal, mastermind. I don't have a lot of the legal or the laws that are involved in Wisconsin as far as being able to carry a firearm. Apparently, you are able to open carry in that area, even though he was, he was 17 at the time. I always thought you had to be 18 to carry a gun, but I guess I could be wrong on that, like I said. So he was there. He was protecting some of the businesses. He was running around, giving people some medical treatment. He had a bag with him. Don't think Kyle was completely innocent, but I think it's funny how, like Chad said, the media is trying to skew this in a way. If you just watch the videos, I mean, with today, we have so much access to technology and everyone is recording almost everything, especially high intensities, probably when they shouldn't be recording. I can't tell how many times I've seen people get beat up when someone's just sitting there recording it. Why don't you step in? And so the recording is very apparent now than it's been. So if you just watch the video, I mean, all I see is Kyle running around trying to help people. I don't see him, agitating anyone. I don't see him pointing his weapon at anyone. The only thing I see is the first gentleman who was killed, which charged him down. Charged him down. He was kind of quartered up against a car, like at a gas station. Kyle, shot him, and then proceeded to run towards the police to kind of get out of the situation, possibly turn himself in and let them know what's going on. And in that process, he fell. There were other people around him that also began to attack him. One gentleman tried to kick him in the face. The other gentleman had a skateboard who he hit him with and also tried to take the gun from him. And that's when Kyle shot him. And then at that point, Kyle got back up and started walking towards the police with his hands up. And that's really, I mean, it's really all that's in the video. I mean, it's pretty clear cut. I didn't see anything about Kyle jumping around or running around, gunning down people. I saw a gentleman attacked. I know if someone ran at me full force, like that first gentleman did, and my natural instinct tells me that he has every intent to cause me physical harm, especially in a group rioting setting where the majority of the people there would probably jump in and help because Kyle is seen as kind of the bad guy, I guess you could say. So with all that, me trying to put myself in Kyle's shoes, I don't think I would have reacted any different as well. A big thing, Kyle being there, right? That was kind of the biggest thing. Had he not been there, it wouldn't have happened, right? But as far as the situation he was in and what happened, I think that almost everyone would react the same way. The gentleman now we know has several mental health problems, was just released from a mental health institution not too long before the incident had occurred. Obviously, Kyle was unaware of that because he didn't know the person. And then the other individual who got shot in the arm, as Kyle shot the gentleman with the skateboard, that guy pulled a gun on Kyle. I mean, it's kind of, if someone points a gun at you, it's instinct. I mean, a lot of this stuff is, you can't really say that it was intentional, right? It was more of a reaction to a reaction. And then, so it's pretty clear cut in my opinion. Do I think he's completely innocent? No, right? Definitely there was a loss of life, right? So I'm sure something will come out of it. But do I think he was a murderer? Not necessarily. I don't think that he went out there to actually cause harm. I just think that he had to react to what was going on in the situation, really.
Yeah. I'll add a couple of quick little pieces to it too. So The gentleman to say gentleman in a very, I'm giving the guy way too much credit. He's got a huge criminal history, disgusting acts that he was convicted of, just got out of prison, I believe the day before. And that was Rosenbaum. That he was the bald, shorter guy that was dropping the N bomb like it was in it, like he was part of NWA. And you can just see people standing around him kind of confused, but they're like, ah, whatever. Apparently he had helped start a fire in a dumpster and tried shoving the dumpster into a gas station. And Kyle ran over, stopped the dumpster and hit and used a fire extinguisher on it, and which pissed this guy off. And then the guy had said that if he catches Kyle or any of Kyle's friends, there's several of them that were there to try to reduce property damage and render aid to anyone that Kyle is injured on any side. And that's well documented. That was his intention for being there. Now they set the dumpster on fire, tried shoving it into the gas station. He put the dumpster out, pissed the guy off, and then later on, the guy came back around and started chasing Kyle. Now he threw something. Now this goes to show you how much disinformation that mainstream media is trying to put out there. If you've watched the actual trial, you would know that this is a lie. They were saying that Rosenbaum threw a plastic bag at Kyle Rittenhouse as he was running towards the gas station parking area. I don't believe it was the same gas station, but he ran between two cars. And at the same time, the guy threw something in which he did have a chain. CNN is stating that Kyle believed at the time that it was the chain that was thrown, but it was just a plastic bag, which is he threw something at Kyle, and there was a gunshot at the same time that he threw it. Somebody else had fired. Not sure exactly what direction that the person had fired in, but Kyle the guy was gaining ground on him. He ran between two cars, and the guy was attempting to swing on him at that moment. I believe he was trying to swing the plastic bag of whatever was in it at Kyle. Kyle turned, fired his weapon, and it hit Rosenbaum fatally. Rosenbaum fell, and Kyle, now this is not CNN's reporting. This is actually what happened based on the trial testimonies. Kyle went back, and there's a video that shows him going back to see if Rosenbaum was okay. Because he went back, he didn't want to, obviously with that, it demonstrates he wasn't intending to kill anybody or hurt anybody. He was defending himself. After which he ran, he left the area and started to go towards the police. And somebody came up next to him, which was the guy that Leave at this point was the one that hit him with the skateboard. And he's the one that said, "Hey, what's going on?" And Kyle said, I'm going to the police. I'm going to go get help and get the police. And the guys, he didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew that, Rosenbaum had been shot by Kyle, especially this guy. And then somebody said, "Hey, he's shooting people. He's an active shooter." They were screaming that. Kyle had his gun down. He did not have his hand on the trigger. He was showing excellent discipline as he was headed towards the police officers. And that's where, still not anywhere close, but that's where the gang tried to catch up with him. One guy did run up behind him, hit him with the skateboard. Another guy kept running in and tried to drop kick him in the face. And then the one with the skateboard is the one that he shot, second person that he had shot fatally, who also died at the scene.
And not to cut you off, Chad, but they had no interaction beforehand. So that gentleman with the skateboard, so you're telling me
not connected.
And just to kind of walk because this is a big part, right? And the video really shows you everything. So how people have been confused and letting the media kind of steer them in a certain direction, I don't understand. You can see the gentleman shoot the gun in the air, what probably caused attention in the beginning. And when Kyle is running away, he falls, right? Which is probably the worst thing that could happen. Because then all you hear in the video is everyone screaming, "Get his ass, get his ass, get his ass."
Yep.
So then skateboard dude, not to cut you off, they had so why would an individual who you have never met, who you have, this is your first interaction with him, why is your first intent when he falls on the ground to hit him with a skateboard? You are creating that situation, right? And it's sad that the man lost his life. It's sad that it all happened, but that's instigating, right? Why would you run at someone when you have a skateboard? Last time I checked, in war or in technology and combat in general, if I bring an AR-15 and you bring a skateboard, I'm probably going to win, right? So that you are going against all things in human nature of, running away from a threat. Me, I'm running the other direction. I'm getting out of there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. This guy's got a gun. I'm gonna let him be. But yeah, so they had no interaction whatsoever before he hit him with the skateboard. He saw Kyle was down on the ground in a somewhat, I guess you could say, defenseless position, and then began to attack. So yeah, continue on,
Yeah.
Chad. I just had to
No,
add that in there.
absolutely. And it's the details matter. And this is the things that the media is not giving us. So the reason why people can see the video and not understand it or have a different interpretation is simply because they're gaslit. They are listening to what people are telling them in the news. It's all absolute nonsense. So one of the guys tried to grab Kyle's gun, and I believe that was the skateboard guy, and that's why he got shot, as he was trying to take his gun away as he was like running up on him while Kyle was on his back on the ground. All of this happened within split seconds. Now, the other one that came up, which is Gage, I forgot his last name, but Gage came over and had a pistol, and he was attempting, like he had it pointed at him as if he was ready to execute him. And Gage Grossroy or something like that. Yeah. And then Kyle shot him and blew his bicep off, or like shot him through the bicep, and he's now lost the function of that bicep. And his arm is, obviously going to be, maimed for life. He later had stated, according to one of his best friends on a social media, his best friend said that he had wished that he had actually emptied or put several bullets in Kyle. The guy he was caught lying on the stand, which is he's likely going to get away with it just simply because of the nature of our environment right now. But that's the end of it. Yeah, he did end up shooting 3 people, 2 of which died at the scene. But they were violent. They were, and both of the people that died, although it's really not relevant to their history as much as the actions that happened at the time, but both of them have violent crime histories. One of them is heinous acts on children, and I'm not going to state what it is, but I'm going to tell you this: if this man had ever done this to my son, I would be in prison. That man would not take another breath to what he did to children. Apparently he was predatory. He liked to date women that had kids so that he could basically have opportunities with their kids. That was Rosenbaum, according to some of the reports that I read. Yeah, he's got a rest history, but again, his history doesn't matter to the moment. What he did at the moment matters. And he was trying, and he'd already made the threat that he was going to kill Kyle and any of Kyle's friends if he could get his hands on them. And he was incredibly agitated. He was very violent in his language and actions. And that's what led up to him pursuing Kyle, thinking that he had got Kyle isolated, that he was going to get his chance to have his way with him, if you will, violently, not necessarily based off of the other parts of his history. But who knows? The guy was a bad person. I don't agree with most people when they say Kyle shouldn't have been there. Like, I'm not a person to say, if the mob's come into my house, I shouldn't defend my house. Like, we do live in a society that we as a society should, protect our society. And these individuals going out to quote unquote demonstrate doesn't mean anything about whether or not you should be able to protect your property or even protect the area that you live in. Kyle did not drive significant distance. That's something else the mainstream media has been putting out there, is that Kyle drove a significant distance in order to go there just so for the gleam, the fame and fortune or glory of being able to go out and shoot people. That's the way they're trying to spin it in court, and they're failing miserably at it. Another point of contention that I have is George Floyd's brother. And so George Floyd's brother is talking on social media about the fact that they have cameras in the courtroom and people are filming the jury as they get off the bus before they go into the courtroom, so they can use intimidation tactics, in my opinion. This happened during the Derek Chauvin case now, and they're bracing for, upheaval and riots and damage and all the rest of this stuff. I have a big problem with that. Why is our law enforcement not doing something to prevent all of this stuff? Yes, they're staging it now, but the media is just continuously agitating people. And these people think that they're going in for a justice.
And for what?
It's mob mentality.
someone explain to me how this relates to anything that's been going on racially. Everyone that was
Yeah.
shot was white.
Yep.
How is that racial? Well, it just shows you that they'll spin anything to try to
Mhm.
just get underneath people's skin to get them to go out there and do things they probably wouldn't normally do had they been thinking rationally. I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of white power that, Kyle was this racist, which there's no proof of doing that.
Not
I
at
guess
all.
now the okay sign, the okay, everyone knows the okay sign is supposed to be a white power sign, even though I've seen Obama do it on, during
Yeah.
national addresses. It's a lot of fabrication of the truth, guys. And
Yeah.
let's just think logically. How does this incident and the outcome of this case correlate at all with the social injustice? Possibly, you could make the argument that if Kyle was black and this happened, there could have been other ramifications. That argument can be made. But just looking at the case, right, not insinuating or creating other ideas, right? Just looking at the factual evidence, nothing in this case is race driven whatsoever, and there's no
Yeah.
proof of that. It's a complete fabrication of the media, and yeah, they're just going to keep getting these people to do their dirty work for them. Really, the media wants people to go out there and protest and destroy things. It's good news. It's good coverage, right? People
Yeah.
watch the news. Chaos sells, and that's
Yeah, it does.
all the media really cares about. People like to think that the media really is looking out for the best interest of the viewer, and they're not. They're about making money, and they're about getting more chaos. And if they can somehow incite that chaos by what they say, they are going to do it. And they've done it for, hundreds of years, right? Even before media on the TV, any kind of publication, they've done it since their existence, Chad. And people have
Yeah.
got to start understanding this so they can start thinking on their own and not letting other people dictate what they do, with their actions.
Yeah. No, the media doesn't care. They're predominantly and almost exclusively, mainstream media is almost exclusively left wing. There's all kinds of forgivenesses and privileges whenever you have a group that's in power. The hypocrisy that shows up that's completely written off is absolutely absurd. Now, they accuse Donald Trump and the supporters, the Republicans, of being, using whistleblowers, or dog whistles, as they refer to it. That's exactly what the media and what the left politicians seem to be doing every time we turn around, is they're using specific terminology as a dog whistle to excite people into doing something. So that's what they're doing. Now, I know that unfortunately, we don't have enough time to really go into the depth of this, but yeah. Yeah. So as far as that goes, actually, it looks like we opened up. It's a little bit of extra time, so we'll continue on with it. So they accuse Donald Trump of using dog whistles. Well, this is exactly what left media is doing. They say, like, by doing this, by putting these lies out there, they're exciting people into a behavior. And then what do we have? We have DAs that let people off when they go out and they riot. This is the first public case and major case that we've recently had to get a deal with that actually has them accept the fact that the judge came out and said, you are not going to refer to these people as protesters. You are not allowed to call them protesters. These people are arsonists and they're rioters. So they took away the innocent language of protesters and called them what they are, which I got to commend the judge for this. They've actually tried to go after the judge for things too, stating that the judge, he is obviously biased because he has proud to be an American as his ringtone on his cell phone, and it rang during while the cameras were recording. So now they're saying, well, he's obviously biased and he's going to be probably right wing, and he's just a boomer, man. He believes in the American dream as far as we can tell. There's no evidence to say otherwise. But he plays, I'm proud to be an American, and all of a sudden he's some sort of radicalist. This is how far we've gone as a country down this rabbit hole of nonsense and just outrage, which outrage is what you use to destroy things. You get people outraged and then you can do whatever the hell you want. You've got them emotionally and psychologically tied up in something else. And that's the power grab that I see them making. If it causes chaos that he is found innocent on all charges, justice needs to stay justice. It cannot become bias. It can't be, well, we need to give him some conviction, otherwise Kenosha is going to burn. No, that's not how this works. Justice doesn't function that way. To make threats towards jurors. That should be something that is not only investigated, that there should be charges filed for that. George Floyd's brother should not be able to get away with insinuating anything. Maxine Waters should be held accountable. Anybody who's trying to excite violence because of the way they feel about this. This is mob rule. This is not justice. So if he's found guilty for anything based off the evidence that I've seen, I'm not an attorney either, but I do understand the Constitution. I understand our legal rights to a good degree, not as absolute, but to a good degree. That would be nonsense. And it would piss me off beyond belief if they say, okay, well, this person is now guilty because we needed to give him something in order to appease the crowd. That is going back to what dictators do. That's what happens whenever people get to the point that, they're just afraid of the consequences, no matter how right it is. Do what's right, no matter how, do what's right, not what is easy. That's what we need to do.
In the case too, like if you watch the case, there's a lot of, creative language that even the prosecuting attorney likes to use a lot, which is describing the firearm in an in-depth way. So he doesn't say rifle, he always says AR-15, which of course is a political, kind of push. When you say rifle, you think of one thing, right? When you say AR-15, you make people think of another thing. How he constantly refers to as the bullets as full metal jackets, which is kind of irrelevant. Majority of the time when you use AR-15, that is the round that you're going to use. So that the type of ammunition, whether it be full metal jacket or not, really doesn't have any ground to stand on to make that more of a point. That why Kyle was there to cause bodily harm. If it was a non-full metal jacket, if you shoot anything out of an AR-15 at someone, it is not going to be good. So it doesn't matter that it was a full metal jacket. It's really kind of like he dives into like hollow point rounds and different rounds. Like they're really just reaching, in my opinion. They're trying to make something, and again, it's sad that the people died. It's sad that the whole thing happened, right? It's sad that cars got destroyed. It's sad that properties got destroyed. It's sad that Kyle had to defend himself and take a life. It's sad that people lost their life in this incidences. But guys, like this stuff does happen, right? And that's what the justice system is for. And it has nothing to do with being right wing or left wing or wanting this or I think I know, or it's my right to do this. Whenever you attack someone else, like this happened, there was no aggression of Kyle towards the other individuals, at least not to the degree that we know, to the degree that was videoed, right? Because it's on video. It's not like it's a theory, right? It's not a eyewitness account. It is recorded. And when you charge at someone and you attack someone, and especially Kyle, I gotta say, when he was on the ground and they were all attacking him, you could tell he had some kind of training, but because he handled that pretty well. I mean, that it's one guy tried to kick him in the face, and he was able to kind of like spin around and like almost like get to his butt and shoot the other guy. So he had a lot of training, and from just how the other people attacked him, they didn't really have a lot of training. I personally think a lot of this really should be on the media's hands. Because I think a lot of the people that went there, especially the people that attacked Kyle or went there possibly to do damage or to hurt individuals, probably didn't have a lot of training, just by how the guy swung the skateboard at him to hit it. I mean, it was like, really? Like, are you trying to generate force? Like, we have to start eventually holding the media accountable and holding the people accountable who are telling people to go out there and do these things when they probably don't have the mental, in this case, both of these apply, the mental or the physical ability to go out and do so. And you're really putting people in harm's way. I mean, everyone knows, it doesn't matter what your IQ level is. If you have nothing and the other person has an AR-15, you might not want to go attack them. It's probably not going to turn out good for you. But they were able to get this sense of entitlement and that we are the right ones here and I'm invincible because I have the mob behind me. And they went against human nature, really. And eventually, some of these politicians, some of these people on the television that are getting people to, go out there and do things they shouldn't do, which is putting them in harm's way, we're gonna have to hold them accountable. They're gonna have to, like, the blood is really on their hands, to be honest with you. If there's no riots, then Kyle doesn't go to Kenosha. If there's no, protesting, Kyle doesn't shoot anyone. It is, piling top on one another. You're creating these toxic and wild environments where people are going to get hurt. And we have to stop letting these politicians dictate what people do and what actions they choose to take based on, they don't even know how they feel about it. If you ask people to explain most of the ideas of why they were out there protesting and you have a logical debate with them, they would probably you wouldn't be able to get to a conclusion. They wouldn't be able to give you any real hard evidence, I don't think. Maybe some would, I could be wrong on that, but we got to start holding these people accountable.
Yeah, we do. Oh, and there's no integrity in it. There's no integrity across the board for like nearly all of this. But it is what it is, and it's something that the best way to get this through is to help people understand what's going on, because this does have to do with the ability, like if we vote, we support things. Let's say if, let's say the voting systems are rigged in a way that just, we're not going to, like the people won't be able to really truly speak again. And we're always going to be caught up with, doesn't matter what it is. Even if everyone seems to hate whatever's going on, they continue to be able to do whatever the people in power are able to do this. It's because of ignorance. And that's the thing that we need to make sure that we start dispelling and getting people to think critically again. The only way we'd ever be able to surface something like that, that there would be like, issues in our voting system, is that we just had so many people go, this is not what I voted for. And then, we all become aware of it. Then that's whenever the tide would significantly change. Now, I'm not tying voter fraud issues in with this case. I'm talking about the overall ideology, the zeitgeist, if you will, of ideas that seem to kind of like continuously blend in. Gaslighting is supposed to sound something logical and sound something like the truth in order to mislead people into believing a false reality. And that's exactly what we see happening here. You can clearly see that Kyle Rittenhouse is running away from somebody, and the media clearly tells people that he was running after the person, that he was chasing him as if he was out to do this. They've tied white supremacy into this, as you mentioned earlier. They're trying to make him out to be this radicalist. They actually went as far, because they're reaching so hard to try to create a narrative about this. They got Kyle Rittenhouse's TikTok username, which is 4 doors more whores, I think is the name of his username. And that he had said that in one of his posts on his social media accounts, he had said that he wants to become famous. And they're trying to make that something against him. I'm like, how many people on Instagram that are models that aren't out to be famous? How many teenagers don't want to be famous? That's like, it's a part, and there's a process. The majority of teenagers want to have something like that. Otherwise, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them would suffer. YouTube wouldn't be as popular as it is either, because it would be a big bulk of the demographic that actually uses that service would go away. But yet they're trying to turn this into, he wanted to become famous through infamy. And that's how they're trying to turn this. It's absolutely lunacy. It's just nonsense. But that's what the media will support it, because that's the attorney, the prosecutor is trying to turn and make the case have this other narrative, that he went there with willful intention of killing people. They also tried to take away self-defense by a technical legal issue, which is that him possessing the firearm illegally made it that he could not use a self-defense as their defense. And they ended up losing that because the judge threw that out, fortunately, because that would have ended up saying, okay, well, now you can't use self-defense. What's your next one? Even though it's clearly self-defense, and you can see it in the videos. He was clearly defending himself. He wasn't out there like a school shooter, but he spends how much time in jail, and what's his bail? GoFundMe refused to allow people to actually raise money for his legal defense. He was getting shut out by all these leftist-owned and left-leaning, organizations. And then we have that guy that actually did be a school shooter somewhat recently. That happened to be, he was a black guy that he was selling drugs in school allegedly, and he got ripped off. So he started shooting people. He was shooting the people that supposedly ripped him off. and he gets let go immediately with a very small bail, but that was an active school shooter. Nobody's talking about the fact that he was also taken alive, which supposedly they never get taken alive, according to the narrative that, black people and anyone of color never gets taken alive, and only white shooters do. People don't understand the law. If the person is no longer being a threat, the cops cannot shoot them. That's the way it works. That's also why cops get in trouble for shooting people in the back. They still investigate even whenever there's multiple police officers that shoot at one person at one time, when the person is obviously trying to be a threat to the police officers. If one of the bullets enter through the back, they still investigate that, even though you can have clear video showing that the person was, maybe death by cop, suicide by cop, or the person was a mad person and just trying to take everybody on as if it was the Wild West. Doesn't matter. So point of it is that self-defense is a real thing, and they're not allowing, they tried to go after that. And that's absolute. It's just willful dishonesty. Our legal system is no longer about what's true, what's right. It's about winning. It's been that way for a long time. That's why you get these high profile attorneys that doesn't matter how much they cost, people still want them, because they just know how to argue a way to make that person seem innocent, even if they're not. That's how corrupt our legal system is. We're not what we intended it to be. So now we have people like this that are completely creating a false reality around Kyle. And then the media tries to support it, and then they go off with all kinds of lunacy and absolute bullshit. How many people are going to actually watch all of the evidence before they go to the streets to protest?
None. They won't watch one. I've seriously watched more of this case than ever. If you just go and just watch the testimonies, just watch the case, build your own idea of what you think. The majority of people that go out there and protest, they probably won't even watch one little bit. They'll see little snippets on Instagram, or they'll watch the final, decision that's made by the jury, but they won't do their own research. Just watch the video. Really, that would be my defense if I was a damn attorney. I'd go in there and say, Your Honor, this is going to be a short trial. Play the video.
Yep.
It's clear cut. My dude is running towards a fire, right, to put it out. Even the prosecuting attorney is like, why were you running to a fire? And Kyle just goes, because it's a fire. I'm trying to put it out. They don't have anything to stand on. The prosecution is really weak, and that they're not going to win. I don't think they're going to win. It's very weak. So they're trying to create narratives that don't exist. He's running towards the fire to put it out. The guy who he supposedly was chasing, the first gentleman, you don't see him in the video until he's actually running down Kyle. You don't see him pop up in the screen. At least I didn't. Only time I saw him when he was actually running towards Kyle, with Kyle's back towards him, has the bag, right, that he has in his hand, and then gets a hold of Kyle, tries to grab the gun, which was another thing that the prosecution tried to say was, oh, well, he never made physical contact with you. And Kyle goes, he grabbed my gun. So you're trying to say that in order for me to be a threat to you, me grabbing the firearm that you have to protect yourself is not an act of threat, but me going an inch further and touching you is. It's lunacy. And guy tried to grab the gun, got shot. When you try to grab someone's gun and it's in a hostile environment like that, it's probably going to happen. But it's really just, it's pretty clear cut to me, Chad. And I don't think, did you know when it's supposed to wrap up? Do you know when it's actually going to be done?
I believe it's tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. Now, the other thing is the guy I think I called him Gage Grossman, but whatever. I think that's isn't that the guy from Tropical Thunder?
I think his last name
It was Les Grossman. Okay, never mind. I don't know why that just clicked with me, but yeah. Anyway, it's so the guy that got shot in his bicep was Gage. He ran up to Kyle with his gun, and then as soon as Kyle turned towards him with his gun, he held his hands up with a gun in the air. And then as things were happening around Kyle, he tried getting around behind him. And I think he actually did get behind him. And then Kyle quickly turned as he was drawing his gun down on him as if he was going to execute him, is what it looks like. And that's when Kyle shot him through the bicep. So they're basically saying, the attorney even said, why did you shoot him? And he's like, well, he was pointing his gun at me. And he goes, well, that still doesn't mean he was going to fire. I'm like, what a fucking idiot. What a fucking absolute idiot. Basically, his argument is that you shot him first, but how do you know he would have fired? If he would have just shot you, then you would have had the opportunity. It would have made sense for you to shoot him. Not to mention that the guy with the pistol that also lied under oath is a felon, which means, drum roll, felons aren't allowed to own firearms. They're talking about his self-defense, like Kyle's self-defense, that they were trying to find that loophole to knock out the self-defense argument. This guy went to a protest with a firearm, a handgun, and he's not legally allowed to have a handgun. And he tried executing Kyle, and they're trying to defend this guy as if he's the victim. What he is he's a victim of being a fucking idiot. He's a victim of you're stupid, you're slow, you're a brainwashed moron, who he actually is part of. I believe he's declared for Antifa. So he's a declared member of a specific group, or a certain group of them. Or some future revolution or some nonsense. Sorry, I hit a space bar and it just automatically muted me. So looking at it from that perspective, it is pretty damn clear cut. But what is the media doing? They're lying about everything. That's what they do. They're not journalists. They're propagandists. They say that their opinion is fact by the way they frame it. Everything that the left does, they project onto the right, or Republicans, or if you're an independent, or even if you're a moderate Democrat, but you're just not part of their cult, they project it onto them. So this is all bullshit. Our country is spiraling out of control with this ideology that will destroy our country if we don't start speaking up. If we don't start actually educating ourselves, we will become like Venezuela. So Venezuela fell into socialism, which is ushering in communism. They were a very wealthy country. And then the guy that ran it into the ground was Hugo Chavez. He ran it into the ground. He was supposed to be the great hero. He came to the United States during after 9/11 and was giving out gas cards and all the rest of this stuff. Like he was like this, champion of Venezuela. Then he goes back and turns it into socialism, and they just all fall apart. So we don't want that here. Socialism is big daddy government, and big daddy government means you got to give me a lot of money, and we're going to take away your abilities so that you continue to feed us. People that want socialism and or communism as to be our structure of government and structure of this our society, those people want that, because once you're elected into that system, you're not likely to get out as an elected official, and you truly are part of the elite class. Then no, you don't have as much resistance. That's one of the reasons why they want it. But they're going to tell everybody else everything's going to be great. We're getting more of a sample of what it's like to live under socialism now because of the supply chain disruptions, the way the government says vaccine mandates and the rest of this stuff, which we got to get to that here in a little bit too, which is Ron DeSantis for the win. But as far as Kyle goes, this whole trial it is absolute stupidity. So it's more of just a clown show. Kyle's defense is doing pretty well, actually doing very well. And the prosecutors are just absolutely horrible. And the people that are threatening jurors, they should, I would say they should never see the light of day again because of what they're doing and what they're trying to do. So, and then
great.
did you see his? What's that?
The whole Gage incident, before we move on to that, I just want to touch on that incident again, because Chad was right about a lot of things. Like with Gage, I think that's his name, right? Is his name Gage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get his name while you're doing this.
Mind you that the gun incident, so when Kyle's running, Gage is behind him, right? He's behind him. Kyle falls on the ground. First guy, hits him in the face. He rolls around. shoots the guy that hits him with the skateboard. And at that point, that's when Kyle gets back up again. And that's when Gage enters the situation, right? That's when he faces him. Two things. Number one, Kyle had just fell on the ground, got drop kicked, hit with a skateboard, and shot someone. So, one, Gage is an idiot because there's two things. Don't pull that gun out and point it at someone unless you're ready to fucking use it. Number one.
Yeah.
No, not you pointing it at someone. He has just shot two people, and his heart rate is probably 200 right now. So you pointing a gun at him, I'm sorry, boo-boo, but you did that to yourself. One, I hate to use this terminology because I'm glad he didn't pull the trigger. That means that you're a bitch because you pull your gun out and you just want to point it at someone. That means that you're not here. You're not ready to possess that firearm because 100%. You do not pull it out and point it at someone, especially when they have a firearm. You're going to get shot, which is exactly what happened. So it's really important to understand the level of intensity that was in those few seconds. Because I know if I'm on the ground, I get drop kicked, hit with a skateboard, I have to shoot someone, I get up and I have tunnel fucking vision. Okay, I do not, if I see anyone pointing a gun at me, you're probably going to get shot too. Not that I'm speaking strictly from a bird's eye view, a third viewpoint of this, just looking into it. In my shoes, if I get up and I see that, you're going to get shot because you're pointing a gun at me. I'm running for my life from this mob. So it's a lot of idiocy. It was done in this, and it's clear cut, Chad. It really is. I mean,
we've even had 100%. You are stupid to pull a gun on somebody, especially if you don't intend to use it, unless it's just to call a bluff and get them to stop. But that was not the circumstance with this. If you were trying to bluff the person and get them to surrender, you don't go up behind them in position like you're going to execute the person. Kyle just is a badass with a gun when it came to his maneuverability. That guy has abilities. Now, the person's name is Gage Grosskreutz. I'm pretty sure that's pronouncing it properly. And I mean, he admitted to a lot of stupid things. He's just a very, very stupid person. And I'm not saying stupid person by the way that he is, he just pulled the gun and he wasn't playing. No, I don't buy that for a second. He probably felt like that was going to be something that could be completely justified. And in this environment, I would say he would have been justified by the left's views if he would have shot and killed Kyle. That's the way the left works. They're going to look at that guy who is not a career criminal. He is a criminal that has had multiple felony charges, that has had this guy not be allowed to actually possess a firearm. No one's talking about the fact that he's possessing a firearm. They're going after Kyle over him possessing the firearm. It's absolute stupidity. So Gage Grosskreutz, I've got one for you, buddy. I have no sympathy for that man. None. He is part of the problem that we're dealing with in this country. So, and the left will support it. They'll do that shit. Now, Biden did speak against Kyle about this trial, and that it's, his position and what he's saying about Kyle as a character and as a person and all the rest of this stuff. It pisses me off that there is a supposed seated president, it's a Manchurian candidate, that's sitting there going after this kid, trying to make a political thing out of it. I hate that man. I hate his administration. And with the definition of the word, that is how I feel about that man and his administration. He's the worst president in history. Administration is the worst one in history. That's a Manchurian candidate. That's all it is. That's all I can say about that. But he came out, talked about Kyle. Kyle's mom defended him. It gives back to just the absolute lunacy of how the left feel about things. Just like the left, whatever the little girl or the ninth grader or whatever, 14-year-old girl was allegedly raped in the bathroom by the transgender boy, and the mom came out and said that it was partially her fault because she didn't fight hard enough. That's how fucking stupid this stuff is. The left they make excuses. The victims are villains, but they paint the picture. The mural tries to tell everyone that they're victims. No, the majority of these people are villains. You get politicians that hire somebody to beat the shit out of themselves so that they could try to get a bump in the polls and maybe a little bit more popularity, maybe even move on to a higher position, which did happen last year. You know, the woman that hired the guy, they filmed it in her car, and she's like, oh my God, he's actually legitimately was hitting her. Later on, they found out she hired the guy to do it so that she could get, you know, she gets more sympathy out of it and potentially either keep her seat or move up. It's stupid. That's the way the left's working. So when it comes to this trial and the lunacy of the way that they're trying to run it and the way the media is talking about it, I have no fucking, it doesn't surprise me at all. What does surprise me is how little people care to actually understand the truth. And they'd rather be spoon-fed nonsense. Because you know what? Lies are comfortable a lot of the times to people, but the truth is uncomfortable. You know, so this is it. Now I will give Anna Kasparian, I believe is her name, from the Young Turks. I'll give her a little bit of credit. She actually did go on and corrected her own statement, because she claimed that he was also chasing Rosenbaum, that Kyle was chasing Rosenbaum. And then she went on and apologized and said, I wasn't aware until I actually saw the video. And now I'm aware that Kyle was being chased by Rosenbaum, not the other way around. So she actually did go on to correct the record, but I'm not giving her any kind of privileges. In my mind, that woman is just horrible. She loves to spread nonsense and lies. I'm shocked that she actually told, like she corrected herself. That blows my mind. So, but anyway, if you're not familiar with her, check her out. She's on the Young Turks. If you can tolerate listening to that nonsense, they're horrible, absolutely horrible. That's not news. It's opinion. It's opinion. It's nonsense. The other guy, which is Chink, shit, I forgot his last name, but he's the guy that pretty much sits at the top. His nephew works for them too. And his nephew just bought him like $4 million place. And he's like, yeah, socialism's the way to go. Let people's actions teach you stuff. What's that?
For you, asshole. Like, you know, like you got the money to do that. Socialism always works out where there is the haves and the have-nots. Just look through history. It's funny how a political party that completely likes to throw around conspiracy theories to its individuals that don't agree with them, but also like to create a lot of conspiracy theories. I find that very funny that they like to shun the ones that shuns the ones they find are conspiracy theories, but then the actual information that they put out are really fucking conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like January 6th. January 6th is a conspiracy theory based on the left. That's what it is to me. I've watched it. I've seen it. That's the left.
By them.
It's created by them. You know, they took advantage of the fact, yes, a bunch of people went to the Capitol. A bunch of people went to DC. You know, a bunch of people went to DC 6 months before. There was Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and they were destroying shit so much so that President Trump had to go to the bunker. And then the left started making fun of him, calling him Bunker Boy, because they were that much of a security risk to him, the president of the United States at the time. You know, it was that much of a security risk. So he had to go to the bunker. What does that tell you? January 6th, somebody was agitated and they were beating on the glass. And, you know, there were people that did swarm a cop that did not die that day and did not die from his injuries from that. That's all bullshit, made up lies by the media. He died from something else 2 days later, I believe. Had nothing to do, 2 or 3 days later, had nothing to do with the event. So, you know, they lie. That's what it is. It's conspiracy theories that the left create, but because it's pushed by the mainstream media, people are like, oh, that's true, versus things where we're like, no, that's not true. And then we get labeled as a conspiracy theorist. That's part of propaganda, is when they use projection. It's just projecting whatever the hell they're doing onto us. Hillary Clinton did it against Trump with the whole Russia collusion thing. She's the one that was colluding with Russia.
Yeah,
but yet, because they already know how to actually frame it, because they did it. They're doing it and they frame it, but they put the name, they just changed the names. You know, it's absolutely nonsense.
Yeah. The swarming of the Capitol, but then most of the Democrats refusing to send more National Guard members to help protect the Capitol. But apparently,
the mayor of DC would not allow Trump to bring in National Guard to support him, because she said that it was going to be more of Trump's armies or whatever the hell. She's like, it's going to be his brown shirts or whatever. She's stupid bitch. Just a stupid bitch. I can't stand that woman. There's a lot of them because they're the ugliest side of humanity. And you let them get absolute control. Right now, this is control with the potential of recourse, with potential, not likelihood, but potential of recourse. So, and what happens when they get more control? We already have people. There was Trump supporters that got shot. One guy got shot in the face, right? Died right there. So, and they were trying to say that somehow he had excited the thing, but it's the same thing. Use language and then justify with violence, right? It's like, how many times do you hear that people say, okay, well, if you hear somebody say that is not, a person of color, use the N word with the hard R, right? And that it's justifiable. People like, well, did you beat his ass? Did you beat the crap out of him? Did you teach him a lesson? You know what? It's not illegal to be ignorant. It's not illegal to be racist or prejudiced. It's not. Is it socially desirable? Not in my opinion. I personally don't care for that. Some of my greatest friends are people of color. Yeah, I don't care. I love people. I love person by their character. I don't give a shit about their skin color. I care about their character. The left is all about skin color and then diminishing other people's character. The scarlet letter of modern day is not adultery. The scarlet letter of modern day is racism. And as soon as you get that brandished on you, look at what happened to Bob Saget. Look at all of these people that have actually used that. And they go back digging into history. Now they're going, okay, well, blackface. Well, what political affiliation was that person whenever they did a blackface? Sarah Silverman, Justin Trudeau, they're all given a pass. But who isn't? If you got an R next to your name, or if you just say, you know what, I'm a moderate Democrat and I don't believe with what the progressives are doing, boom, you're radical right.
Yep. John Gruden.
Fucking stupid. Right. Yep.
He's suing the NFL now. Did you see that?
I hope he does. I hope he wins the shit out of it.
He's suing them.
Yeah. The NFL is, to me, the NFL is, it's done. This is, it's in death throes, right? You've got Colin Kaepernick making videos about how, getting into the NFL is exactly the same as the slave trade. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that the slaves made more money than the people that were actually getting them in, or the people that like watching them. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. By the way, how racist are you by only depicting people of color going through the process of becoming an NFL player when there's all kinds of people that do that? Every racial background has something. There are people in the NFL. But Colin Kaepernick, that's his thing. He's the modern day Al Sharpton. We still have our Al Sharpton, but he's antiquated. He's outdated. That's why he's doing the crazy shit he's doing now to try to gain more popularity. He's slowly dying off. Kaepernick is it. Sean King, he's not even black. I'm pretty sure he's white, but he claims everything. He's a big race baiter because it makes him money.
Al Sharpton too.
Insane.
His ass never. Al Sharpton. His ass don't go and help. I've never seen Al Sharpton out there actually helping the community. I see him show up and talk and then go back home and sit with all his millions of dollars that was donated to his ass. And I think, honest with you, Chad, I think a lot of people are starting to catch on to that. Like I think as more and more as time goes on, I know there's going to be a little bit of friction. There's going to be, some people will think so and some people that don't. But I know a lot of, people that are in the minority groups that are friends of mine, and they see this bullshit too. Like, for example, like Black Lives Matter, right? Black Lives Matter. I agree with the movement, right? I think everyone should have equality, but the organization sucks, right? Organization does not give a damn about Black Lives Matter. They care about making money. They care about benefiting themselves. And I think that most people are going to start to catch on to that. You'll know when there's actually someone who's out there not just doing it for their own benefit, for actually trying to better the cause. And I think we need to get more people into those organizations that are trying to go after these things that actually want to make a difference. Like, LeBron James, yeah, great. You sent a tweet. Why don't you go donate the millions of dollars you have to some of the Black communities that you grew up in and give them some kind of infrastructure and or whatever it may be to help them get on their feet and to better that community for everyone, instead of just sitting there and pretending like you're actually give a damn just to get some publicity out of it. It's bullshit.
But let's touch on that piece of shit for just a second. He's another one. He's another race baiter. He sat there and he made fun of a 17-year-old that had to go through an incredible life traumatic moment. Kyle went through, that's trauma. That is PTSD. Like, that kid is likely going to live the rest of his life with nightmares of that day. And then nightmares about the way people are treating him right now about it. He's crying on the stand and people like, oh, the alligator tears, like saying that he's fake crying. LeBron James, of all people, that fucking piece of shit says, oh, fake crying, or what are your thoughts? It's like, LeBron James, you can't get through a game without crying.
For real.
You soft motherfucker. You piece of shit. He is. He's like, you know what? The police are racist. These bad people, they're all of this. And then he has police escort. It's taking him everywhere he goes. Now, maybe it's not 100% of everywhere he goes, but the majority of the places he goes, he's got police escort. They're his bodyguards.
He hasn't answered my call for that boxing match either, Chad. You notice that?
I'm
looking at my phone.
You beat his ass too. You'd beat his ass. He cries whenever his freaking team's losing. Okay. Yeah. And he cries like it's going to ruin, like the rest of the world's over. He is not like, he's like, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm better than Michael Jordan. No, you're not. No, you're not. Michael Jordan is a man. You're a boy playing a game. You're a boy that somebody softened up too much and you got talent, but you're soft as hell. Sorry, son of a bitch. LeBron James, the best. No, he's not. The best that ever lived, because what did you bet on him? Oh, if you're betting on him, just bet he's going to cry during the game. You're going to make some money.
Best recruiter ever. He knows how to get really good people around him, so he plays well. But that's about it. Really. I don't remember him winning on his own. He ain't winning now.
Michael Jordan helped make people great. Not him. He's like, hey, you're talented. Come on over. Come play with me. Right? Maybe he does that. Maybe. But Michael Jordan's like, you know what? You may be great, but we're going to make you greater. He's a man. That's a man. Not LeBron James. That's a boy.
No comparison.
He's a child. And he is a mental midget. I have nothing, whatever, I'm probably going to get canceled for that. But you know what? Fuck it. We should be able to say whatever it is that we want to say without recourse. That's the freedom of speech. So, you know what? If LeBron James is going to make fun of him, we're going to make fun of the fact that if he's going to make fun of Kyle, we're going to make fun of the fact that he's an absolute hypocrite.
He is a hypocrite.
And keep pointing it out. So, yeah, I know we've got a lot of topics to touch on, but we really, we got a lot of an extension. So I'm glad that your schedule freed up a bit for it. We don't have a whole lot of time left before we hit the next deadline, but yeah, this is a very emotional and important case for the United States, because this case has the right to self-defense hanging in the balance. And it seems like a no-brainer to us, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have another issue where jurors are pushed into being afraid for their life. You got a high profile person who was nobody before his brother died, and now he's got a higher profile. Is he high profile? No, I didn't even know he had a brother until I found out that this guy is telling, like, hey, I know we got cameras in there. I know that there are people recording. Gage Grosskreutz too. Like he knows there's people in there recording that are Antifa people. And instead of dismissing the entire, everybody in the audience, except for the judge, except for the people that need to be in there, he didn't do it. And they should have, in my opinion. So for the protection of the jurors, no one should know anything about these jurors. They should always be nameless and faceless. Yep. But the left love to threaten and scare people.
Yep.
So
they shouldn't be on camera. They should be in a separate room. They should be watching it on monitors. That way, if they've had to call the jurors a lot during the case to leave the room to discuss the prosecutor's antics that they're doing. They should be able to turn that screen off. Boop. You don't get to watch anymore. Wait a moment. Boop. Click it again. They should be nameless. I 100% agree. And I mean, it's important for the people to see trials, but it's a slippery slope. It's how much information you actually give out to the public. It's a slippery slope. So yeah, I completely agree with that. I would like
public should never know who the jurors are. And if the juror outs themselves after the fact, that's on them because that's their right, but no one else. They should never out anybody else, and it should be a legal recourse. And I think there actually is legal recourse to that.
It should be a felony, prison time.
Yeah, because it's sacred. Yeah. It's like top secret, right? That's how it should be looked at. You're not allowed to talk about this the rest of your life. You're not allowed to tell anybody who the other people are, which even when you're a juror, you're not supposed to tell everybody who you are. You're just there for that. You're not there for who you are. You're there for justice. You're there to hear things out and to try to bring fair-mindedness from your community into the room. It's a way of trying to keep things fair, and we're not doing a good job at it. So, with that, there should be a lot more. We really should revamp our legal system in the sense of getting back to actually more purity so that we don't have so much of that nonsense and less contamination. So yeah, we shouldn't have the ability for people to just go in. Now, if you're a part of it or you're family members of it, then okay, but you're not allowed to record anything. There are plenty of them. They even move the cameras out and then they could only have artists' renditions. But if there's a fixed camera position, so nobody can see the jurors because they shouldn't ever see the jurors, I'm okay with that too. But if it has to go back to the point where we have artist renditions of it, I'm fine with that. I don't care. We need to protect the jurors so they don't get intimidated and bullied. So again, we'll get fired up and heated over some of this stuff because it matters, and it really does matter. This case has ramifications to our entire legal system, specifically for self-defense. Cases that get settled like this, they set precedents that actually show up in other cases. They are used as a legal reference. All cases that are settled are used as legal references, if need be, based on the trial or the case that's being presented at the time, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a juror. It doesn't have to be an actual jury either. It could just be a civil issue. But those things get used later on. It sets case law. So again, I'm not a legal expert, but I slept overnight in a Holiday Inn Express. So yeah, feel pretty good about myself. That joke is absolutely going to wear out in the very near future. And there's going to be people that watch this that probably don't get it, but it was a commercial back in the day. That was, are you a doctor? No, but I slept in a Holiday Inn Express last night. Like, make room, I'll help. So, but anyway, it's obviously a very big conversation, and we could continue to talk more about it because there's other details that we didn't get to. But the overall, the better overview of it has at least been spoken about. So with that, I don't really have anything else for today to talk about it necessarily, so I can honor your time, Joshua. Yeah, that's what I've got. You got anything else before we close up?
No, not really. I guess we'll find out. I think we think that the commencement of the trial will be tomorrow. So if that is the case, in between this episode, next episode, we're definitely going to have some more. I thought it was a very important topic. I know Chad and I have been really itching to talk about it, especially the more that I dive into it and actually watch the hearing itself. I've definitely wanted to dive into it and talk about it a little bit more. So look for that in the more episodes. There's a lot of juicy stuff happening, guys. So we got, next year is a big year. It's a very big year. A lot of elections are going on. So definitely look for the topics to start to kind of increase in intensity. I know today that we were very animated, and you could probably sense some emotions that maybe you wouldn't normally sense in some of our other episodes. It is because it's important, right? And it's important that you are able to express your opinions in a way and really have no fear or recourse of you speaking your mind. So look for more of those videos coming out soon. Chad and I are trying to do one episode a week. I'm really glad we were able to get one in today with our time constraints. Have a great week. Stay golden, Pony Boy, and look for the next one in the future. I think it's going to be a good one here pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I always say, we're Americans. We need to act like it. So until next time, I'm your host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears, and I'm joined by the man that even Prince would sing about, Joshua, your patriot, Mike Kraken McClendon. So until next time, guys, let's just try to take a little bit of less emotion and go a little bit more with logic. Don't let the media spin you up, and ask for the details. Find out which one is, when somebody's telling you something, is it an opinion or is it a fact? Or is it a little blend of both? But if it ain't fully a fact, it's just an opinion. So unfortunately, we didn't get to Ron DeSantis being the big old, the badass that he is, especially now with the whole OSHA mandate coming in January. And I got to tell you, that man is absolutely the perfect person to actually run our country. But unfortunately, Florida would lose an amazing governor if he goes that route. But anyway, we'll talk about that on another episode because I've got several things there. And I've got to talk about the healthcare system where they're doing selective care and how it got really close to my family. So from vaccine issues to, basically the medical system just wanting to send my brother home to die, instead of treating him. So anyway, we'll go into more of it and give a little bit more detail and time, maybe in the next episode. So, all right. So until next time, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. See ya.